So today I'm going to paint the elf model from Hero Quest. Clean the model and painted it all black, and that is a little example of what I want it to look like. Start off by affixing my model to a cork or whatever I happen to have around, paint lid or anything like that. In this case I had a wine cork, so it's just simply enough taping the model to the corks to get a nice firm hold. And off we go. Started off by base coating the whole model with a dark brown color, and then getting into the base colors. So as you can see here, nice bright red for the base of his tunic. And for the rest of the model's leathers, I just used a leather brown type color. Came in and base coated that. And then with his hair, just used a gray. I'm painting in all of the hair, not leaving the blacking behind. I prefer to work from an entire base coat. Skin's all base coated, a nice flesh color. I believe I used the foundation one for that. What I like to work with is a lot of washes for my models. I tend to underlight more than highlight. I just prefer that style of a model, I guess, and it's fairly easy to paint. You can really bash out a lot of models quite quickly when you do this technique. For this one I took one-on-one mix of red, blue, and Dublin mud. Mix that all up together. I added a little bit of water to it just because really my paints have been sitting around for quite a while, with some moves and things like that, just to soften it up a little bit. And you just splash right over the whole model. Not a whole lot of grace involved here. Then took the chance to make a quick wet palette. I found that my paints were really drying quickly. Wet palettes are fairly simple to make. A friend of mine showed me how to do one, and it's just 3 or 4 pieces of paper towel, and you just wet them a little bit and put a piece of wax paper over the top of it, and it keeps all your paints nice and moist. Here we can see that I just worked up his flesh a little bit to get the bright color in again. Now after you do the original ink wash, you'll see that obviously a lot of the model gets to be a little bit darker, which this time you have to come in and kind of highlight again. It's more or less applying a base coat, but just leaving the recesses, little cracks behind the knees, in between the legs and the pants and all that sort of thing, original color. He's starting to come along pretty good now. So more or less at this point it would be the same thing as having one highlight, but with a little bit more depth in the recesses and the shadows and things like that. Came back over my red with a blood red to pop it out a little bit more. And then I took a lighter gray color and just dry brushed his hair. When dry brushing, you gotta kind of leave obviously a little bit of the shadows where it would naturally start to stay darker. So I worked around the bottom of his hair and the top of the hair a little bit more. Then, doing the whole place. Getting the bangs and the tips a little bit of extra attention. I actually went right over his ears doing this too. I didn't really do too much about working around them because I knew I'd just come back later and paint his ears back in. Because they're popping out of his hair there a little bit. The boots were looking a little bit dark to me, so I came in with a lighter brown color and worked them back up to a little bit brighter shade. This time I came back in with the Devlin Mud again and just worked a little bit of my shadows and whatnot. I find that when you use more than one coat, as I read actually in a magazine, when you do one coat of the washes, you tend to get a really uneven sort of tone to it. But if you do more than one wash, it seems to level it out a lot. Here I'm using the wash fairly selectively to bring a little bit more of the deep shadows, and using it to create lines in between like the hair and the tunic and the hands and the sleeves, things like that. Using the wash with 3 different colors in it tends to allow it to work amongst different colors fairly well. I tend to enjoy experimenting with the different colors and seeing how things work out. When you're doing this kind of washing, it's best to do one and leave it sit for 10, 15, 20 minutes and then come back and work it again. The sword was painted just chainmail silver, and then came up and highlighted it with a mithril, and then I used a bit of blue wash over it. Here we are, pulling the ears back out again. It's the same idea with the ears too, just came in with the flesh and then came back in with the washes to sort of give them a little bit of depth. Mithril silver along the edge of the blade, give it that little bit of a sheen. Right now you can see I've also painted the gems on the bottom of his sword and his belt, just a plain white color, so that later I can come in with the color and let that the white undercoat tends to let those gems come out and shine a lot more. And here's a completed model.